This is Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like.
We're your hosts, Nick and Moiz. Let's start talking about money.
All right, Moiz, did you know that Messi's a soccer player, his store tripled sales in a month after they launched their Tapcart app? They saw a higher conversion rate, obviously, because it's within the app, but sending people to their app and then getting people to browse and shop, especially for a category like apparel, it crushed for them. They got push notifications, they got instant page loading, which I don't know if you've run like ads on TikTok yet. Their instant page works really well for conversion, and in the mobile app, it does just as well. You get one-click checkout, and typically we see higher AOV from that as well. I think if you're a limited supply listener, you should definitely be on Tapcart. You should go to tapcart.com/limited. You'll get 2 months free. Try it out, send it to us, we'll rate it, and we'll give you a review.
I think this is episode 7 of season 3. I'm not positive.
I think so.
Really getting through these episodes, you know?
Mary's was fun.
Mary's was my favorite, actually.
So different than what we normally do.
Yeah, because it was just so like relaxing in a weird way.
Yeah, we're just chilling.
Yeah, that was great.
Also, where are we?
We're in Los Angeles. Great point. Yeah, we should talk about this. We're in
Inglewood.
We're in Inglewood.
Because you booked
I've never been here before, actually. I actually looked for, so the place that we book in New York has a location out here, but it's like past Hollywood. It was like an hour and 45-minute drive for me.
Too long.
And I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I booked this place because I thought you usually stay at like the proper in Los Angeles.
I wish.
Or in Santa Monica.
Usually in WeHo.
You're usually in WeHo? Last time you were in the proper, I thought. Like last time you were in LA.
I was probably also in WeHo last time. I was supposed to be at the proper this week.
Okay, gotcha.
For an event with Try Now, but that got pushed to June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So that's why I thought you would be over here, and that's why I was trying to do it on this side.
All good. I'm pumped for today. I had, I got 14 pages of notes. We're not going to get through all the things, but
for sure.
I've got like probably 3 or 4 episodes of just
content here.
Bangers.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's go through the agenda really quickly so people know what we're going to talk about, because we're talking about a bunch of stuff today. One is, I think we should do a segment called Grind My Gears, which I'm not sure if you are a Family Guy fan.
Of course.
But there was an episode where Peter goes on television and he does this.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, exactly. And today we're going to talk about Facebook ad moderation, which really grinds my gears. The other thing I want to talk to you about is this FTC thing that just came out like less than an hour ago, which I think you'll find really interesting. We're going to talk about the Starbucks rewards program. Aritzia, which I think both of us are going to go to tonight right after this. Some Shopify earnings, some Shopify stuff that came out a couple weeks ago. We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. Part of it is earnings, and part of it is the new features that they dropped. So we're going to go through all of that.
Awesome.
Okay, let's start with what grinds our gears, which is Facebook ad moderation. So have you ever done Facebook ad moderation?
Are you talking about...
So you got Facebook ads running.
Yeah.
And, you got people commenting on them.
Yeah. You're talking about responding to comments.
Yeah.
Or cleaning comments.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Bread and butter.
It's so important. After creating the ads, like moderating the comments is incredibly important. If you're trying to sell a $50, if you're trying to sell a deodorant at $10, it may not matter that much because it's sort of an impulse purchase. If you're trying to sell anything above $20, certainly above $50, you better be looking at the comments because people are going to be looking at them before they make their purchasing decision.
For sure.
In fact, it's one of the easy ways for me to spot somebody who's really bad at Facebook ads is when I look at their ads and then their comments, and I'm like, oh my God, the first 5 comments are people railing this brand, saying terrible things about you, and they've been here for a week and you haven't cleaned them up yet. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
But I think so you've done it. When do you do it? You do it for the brands where you guys run ads, or what do you do it for?
Yeah, I recognized back in 2017 that responding to every comment keeps our click-through rate high, keeps our page score high, and keeps our overall CPM low because Facebook sees it as positive interaction.
Yeah.
And so by the end of 2017, when I was at Hint, we actually hired somebody full-time to just respond to comments.
Wow.
The title was community manager.
Yeah.
But the entire job was responding to comments. And
yeah.
every ad had to have a response. Every ad comment needed a response.
Yeah. That's awesome that you did that. Yeah. And community moderation generally means this is going to be a tough job. But I'd say responding to comments is 50% of the work. The other 50% is hiding or deleting comments as necessary. And Facebook,
it goes hide, block, delete.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
got to hide it And then it's like, okay, it only goes to their friends, right? Because if you just delete it, they come back and they're like, hey, why'd you fuckers delete my comment?
Yeah.
But you gotta hide it. Then you gotta block them.
Yeah.
And then you gotta click the little 3 dots, which lets you show the hidden comments, and then you delete it.
Yeah, it is so hard. Like, okay, so I think the really hard part is once you get to scale with Facebook ads and you've been running the same ad for several months, because if you can get an ad working for several months, it's great. Now all of a sudden there are 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 comments on this ad, and someone leaves a comment, and you're like, you got to Facebook doesn't make it easy to find out where the new comments are. Like, even if you filter by newest, there'll be 40. There'll be the first person will say this is a great product. The second person will say this is a scam. The third person is part of a thread that is all the way at the bottom where she's responded to 2 other people.
Yeah,
and you're like, where is this thing? It's this thread that you responded to started 18 weeks ago, and there are 74 comments in this thread, and I gotta look for yours in this fucking impossible way. It's so there's no easy way for what it should be like on WordPress. If someone comments on your blog, all of the comments show up, and you click approve,
and you get an email.
No.
You can just click approve or decline on the email that you get.
Yeah, and Facebook should do something like that where you're like, here are the comments, either click approve or don't approve, or default approve, but make it so that I can see each comment easily. They bunch up. They're like, Jane Doe and 40 other people commented on this ad in the last 4 hours, and you're like, fuck, there's 41 comments on here I have to filter through, and there's I click it once and they're like, here are all the 41 comments, and some are right at the top, the others you got to look in threads, the others you got to look at other threads. You have no idea if you've looked at them all or not. I was recently doing this for a brand that I advise, and I was looking at their comments, and I'm like, fuck, I thought I was done with today's ads because it said this ad was 3 weeks ago, and I sorted by newest, and I kept scrolling down, and I was like, oh, this is a thread. I have to keep going back and back. I spent 30 minutes figuring out that I hadn't looked at just today's ads for that brand. And I don't know why Facebook doesn't do a better job of this to make it super easy. So they're like, every single comment you can look at, it's a separate link. I can share a comment with you. I can take a URL, send it to somebody else on my team so they can look at it and respond to it. And so I can look at it and make sure that I've gone through everything that someone is. It's so hard to do it right now. I don't understand why Facebook is so bad at it. I think that Facebook is like, look, this doesn't make us money. Creating software for this doesn't make us money, so we're not going to do it.
Yeah, one thing I always know about Facebook is the stuff that they give to their API is generally not the stuff that like this, for example. There's a ton of Facebook moderation platforms, but none of them will let you respond to a comment as a reply, for example. It always responds as a fresh comment that might tag that person, but it's not truly replying.
Yeah.
And another example is just like this not existing as a tool. I mean, there should be a mobile app where you get a notification when a comment is pushed, if you want that.
Yeah.
And you should be able to just go in and do it.
Yeah.
You would think that with, they acquired customer.com, the customer service platform.
Yeah.
You would think that it's possible in there, but I don't see anything on their site that,
gives them a leg up and
evidence for that.
And I tried to figure out a solution to this, and a lot of people were like, oh, go use Agora Pulse. Go check out Agora Pulse.
Yeah.
So I got this brand to buy Agora Pulse and look at it, and we were playing around with it, and it was just missing 30% of the comments that we were getting. You'd play around and you look at them all and respond and delete and hide within Agora Pulse, although I don't think you could ban people in Agora Pulse, which was a real problem with it. But even then, once you looked at it, then you went through to Facebook and you're like, okay, let me make sure that I actually went through all of these. Right. And you're like, okay, 30% of the comments that were left on this ad, Agora Pulse never got to. Agora Pulse never saw.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that's the case or why they're missing so much. I posted it on Twitter, and the guy from Gorgeous, the CEO of Gorgeous, was like, Facebook's API just isn't that good right now. Yeah. So we actually just miss a lot of things. And I don't know if that he's like, that's why Agora Pulse is missing these things. And I think he has a leg up because I think they're both French. And so that's why they talk to each other a lot. I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. But, there's no software solution that does this. And Facebook has just not done anything for a decade when it comes to comment moderation. And, if you're running ads and you're spending $1,000 a day on a single ad and it's getting 75 comments, it is so hard to moderate. You basically have to hire someone because they haven't done anything to give you the tools to make it so that it's seamless.
Yeah, it should be like Gorgeous where you get tickets and immediately you can respond.
Yeah, exactly.
But right now you have to go to the page First of all, you can't even consolidate page notifications. So if you're whitelisting with creators, one, you probably didn't even get the permission to respond to the comment. But two, you have to go individually and then click every single notification. It's ridiculous.
It is terrible, and I really hope they do a better job of that. It's been grinding my gears for a couple weeks now.
Yeah. That said, everybody should respond to every single comment. It's huge.
Yeah. Respond/hide/delete every single comment. When you say respond to, I'm like, if someone's like, go fuck yourselves, I hate this brand.
Hide, block, delete.
Yeah, that's right.
HBD.
It is really amazing. Like the hide feature is incredible where they're like, this person will still see it. Their friends will see it, but nobody else will. They're like, don't worry about it.
It's kind of smart. It's like, all right, let's let this person just keep talking to a wall.
Yeah, because if you do delete them and you don't ban them, a lot of times
then they come back.
Yeah, exactly. They're like vultures, basically. They smell the weakness on you because you haven't banned them. Okay, let's switch gears. The other thing I wanted to chat about was this Wall Street Journal article I saw today. And basically, the FTC settled with a company called Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty is a massive supplement brand. It's owned by Nestle. It's just ginormous. They're everywhere. They're at Target. They're at Walgreens. They're on Amazon. All these places. What the FTC recently said was that when they were selling on Amazon, they would have a product that sells. They'd have multiple variations on a page. And all of the variations on a single Amazon page share the same reviews, but they weren't all the exact same product. And as a result, they're like, you're hijacking reviews of other products to boost up, you have 10,000 reviews of product X. Right. You just introduced product Y on the same product page on Amazon, the same PDP. So it looks like product Y also has 10,000 reviews, but product Y is actually a new product and has 0 reviews.
And it's not a variant. It's a completely separate product.
It could be a variant. Okay. It's even a variant. Okay. And they're like, this is hijacking reviews and illegal.
Wow.
So the FTC just said, Bountiful Nature's Bounty, which is owned by a company called Bountiful, that's their official name. They didn't admit liability, but they agreed to pay $600,000 to the FTC. Wow. And they're like, the FTC says this is review hijacking. And you're basically hijacking the reviews and showing them on different products. The question is what is a different product? And I don't understand this just yet because this just came out. This came out today at 2 hours ago, basically, is when I saw this. The question is what is a different product? So I was thinking native deodorant on Amazon's, on Amazon has native deodorant coconut and vanilla, native deodorant lavender and rose, native deodorant cucumber and mint. All of them share reviews on Amazon. All of them share reviews on Native's own website. We don't have a separate review for every single variant. Mm-hmm. Are those separate products or are those not separate products? And I think the FTC would possibly argue those are separate products and you cannot share reviews on them.
I wonder how they classify it. If it's if the SKU number is different, it's completely a separate product. That's what it sounds like.
The SKU, yeah, exactly. Right? But then the problem is what happens if I'm selling you a small t-shirt or a large t-shirt? Are all three of those are different SKUs, right? A medium-sized t-shirt and a large-sized t-shirt are different SKUs, even though they're the exact same product. And so here's this quote from the director of FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Boosting your products by hijacking another product's ratings or reviews is a relatively new tactic, but is still plain old false advertising. I don't know what a different product is here. I think that's the crux of the situation, which is what is a product, and how is it different, and when can you share reviews and when can't you? The thing that I would say is this is rampant on Amazon and everywhere else.
Yeah, it happens
in e-commerce.
Everywhere.
And so I'm not sure, there needs to be a lot, if the FTC wants to really enforce this, they really need to do a better job of telling us what is and what is not different products.
You said Nestle owns the company that this happened to?
Correct, yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen to Vital Proteins and Orgain because they're both under Nestle as well.
Yeah.
And I think they do the exact same thing. We should monitor it.
Yeah, I think we should monitor. And to be clear, I think everybody does this. I'm not sure what a different product is, frankly, still. And so I don't for instance, is Tide laundry powder and Tide laundry detergent, the liquid, different products? Is Tide powder and Tide, liquid detergent different, or are they the same?
Yeah, I wonder too if they were more mad about the sharing of the #1 bestseller or the Amazon's Choice badges.
Yeah.
More saying that's false. I could see that, but I don't know that I would agree with variants because when you said sizing, then it's like, how does that work?
Yeah, because like, it's a 12, but like, it also kind of makes sense because like, what if you're like, wow, this medium fits really good, like this medium t-shirt fits really well.
Yeah.
But this large is really long and all messed up, and the sleeves are ginormous too. Like
right. I wonder what like Okendo is thinking about how they will build their platform differently, or what they have to do to fix that for merchants.
Yeah, I have no idea. And to be honest, I think, like, this decision just came out today. So it's really unclear what should happen. And but like, I think that there needs to be a lot more clarity here, because I think every single e-commerce business is guilty of this in some form or another. Like Olipop, for instance, are all the flavors, different products?
Right. I think Hint does the same thing.
Yeah, it seems reasonable that the flavors are like different products, right? Because like cherry vanilla might be great, and vintage cola, I like vintage, you might be like, oh, vintage cola is different. Are these not going to be able to share the same page any longer? Like, that seems silly.
Yeah, even if you search Hint water, the review count's the exact same across all flavors.
Yeah. And that's how Amazon does it. And really, I thought that, like, look, if you want to stop this, you have to go after Amazon, not the brand that's like sort of saying, okay, this is how you make a product page. You put a bunch of variants on one single, PDP, right? Like, you put a bunch of flavors. Like, if someone wants to buy raspberry water versus, Essence mango water or mango grapefruit, that's going to be on the same PDP. Those variations have to be on the same PDP.
Right.
So I'm not sure how this is going to shake out, but I thought it was really surprising. I feel like this kind of stuff happens to a big company like Nestle, and so if you're if you're doing sub $100 million, I wouldn't get too worried. I'd follow what the FTC guidance comes out as they release some guidance around this. But if you're doing $100 million, I don't think the FTC is gunning for you. I think they're just like, hey, look, guys, this is going to be a thing in the future.
Yeah, it looks like for this specific instance, over the last 3 years, the FTC actually asked them to create separate variations, and they just didn't listen.
Really? Oh, did it say that in the Wall Street Journal article, or you just saw it somewhere else?
I found it on the FTC's site.
Okay.
And it says in 2020, 2021, Bountiful asked Amazon to create numerous variation relationships for its supplement products with different formulations. So it does have different formulations. I wonder if that's why.
But so does like native deodorant, coconut and vanilla, and native deodorant, cucumber and mint.
Yeah.
Like, there's small differences because there's scent. So does Olipop vintage cola and Olipop, cherry vanilla. And so that just seems is that it? Like, just the small difference in under 1% difference in variation is going to get you flagged?
All I know is this guy, whoever at the FTC spent their career bringing down this company for Amazon reviews, this guy needs friends.
This guy's created, could have created an earthquake in the e-commerce community. It's unclear how this thing shakes out, but it could be pretty crazy. Okay, let's move on. I just wanted to flag that because it came out today and it affects so many brands, but like, who knows what happens. And look, the brand got fined $600,000, which for Nestle is
probably a day's worth of Amazon. Maybe half a day.
Yeah, exactly. Nestle probably has 20 private jets. I don't think that they're worried about $600,000, but it doesn't look good and it's not right. And clarity would really help.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Starbucks rewards program. Tell me what was going on there.
I don't know how I came across this, but I was pretty intrigued. So just in the US, as of Q1, Starbucks guess how many members Starbucks has using their app for rewards to go in, earn points, get free drinks, scan the thing.
Okay, that's good. Let me guess. Okay, so Starbucks, there's 300 million people in the United States.
Yep.
Probably half are too old or too young to be using it. So there's 150 million people, probably 57 million.
You're not that far off.
Okay.
So Amazon has 172 million Prime members in the US. So about 6 in every 10 have Amazon Prime. Starbucks has just under 31 million Starbucks Rewards members.
Oh, I'm way off.
And that's active members, meaning used within the last 3 months, which is insanely impressive.
What, 3 months is what they say? God,
Yeah.
that's basically how Pinterest monitors users as well. They're like, has anyone accidentally opened up the Pinterest app?
Has anybody clicked a scam saying their computer needs to be rebooted?
Yeah, that's a Pinterest user. 31 million
So 30
in the last 3 months.
Yeah, call it 30.5 million.
Okay.
As of now, or I should say as of Q1, Starbucks has $3.3 billion loaded into the app of balance, which is insane because that's effectively a 0% interest loan that Starbucks has from its members.
Yeah.
And just historically, they know 10% will never redeem.
Yeah.
So they basically pocket $330 million, which is insane. I mean, that is like, it's crazy.
They've done a really, I guess a few things. One is, I think that happens mostly off app is probably where they get that 10, because, if you've got the app, you sort of never lose it, right? But if someone gives you a $10 gift card and you get 2 coffees and you spent $9.20, you're like, fuck it. I lost this card. I'm not holding this card until the next time I go to save 80 cents. Maybe I would, but like not everybody would, obviously. And so I think that's where they get some of it. But yeah, like the genius of their business is if you want to use the app, you have to reload a gift card. You can't just buy something on the app and pay $3. They're like, reload this gift card for $20. Yeah, exactly.
Increments are, I think mine is 25 maybe.
Yeah. And so, they're getting that loan from you all the time.
Totally. I wonder what they do with that money.
I'm sure they use it to finance operations, dividends, pay down.
But do you think they invest in other do you
securities?
think they put,
Definitely. Yeah. If you're a business that's sitting on more than $10 million, like P&G is sitting on a boatload of cash.
Yeah.
They're not legally obligated, but they should, and they do take that money and invest it in things that they're like, this is a very safe instrument. Like they'll go buy U.S. securities and say, look, this U.S. security is going to, in 6 months, will pay us, 3% interest or 2.5% interest. And so let's go buy $2 billion of this because we have $2 billion in cash. Ideally, they're like, look, we're giving it out in dividends, but they're giving out billions. P&G's giving out billions of dollars of dividends a year. Between those time periods, they're sitting on a ton of cash. So they invest in a U.S. Treasury or something that a very safe security or a Chase bond that's overnight bond or something to that effect. Right. So they'll earn a little bit of interest, but you do it over $1 billion and it's kind of meaningful, Yeah,
totally. What do you think drove Starbucks's revenue the most all year, if you had to guess?
This year? Or it's certainly cold beverages. More than 50% of their sales now are cold beverages and not hot beverages.
Yeah, I'm talking more like one moment that drove the largest sales.
Pumpkin spice latte?
Close. It was when they launched the red cup, the signature red Starbucks cup for the holidays.
Okay.
Drove the highest day of sales of all time.
That is so silly.
Isn't that crazy?
Are you kidding me?
It's just crazy. I mean, I feel like even with brands we work with, when they launch some variation of something, it crushes.
That is so great. Wait, you're saying the switch from the white cup to the red cup?
Just for the holidays.
Yeah,
how they launch it?
Yeah.
It drove the highest
day of sales
of all time, ever.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
If I were them, I'd be like, we need to be launching, we need 365 different colors. Every day someone's job is to change the color here.
Yeah, just go to colors.co and hit enter.
That's right. Yeah. Take the hex numbers. There's change the number, one number
Put
at the end.
Gibberish in there. Print it.
That is bananas. I'm surprised that they don't do they don't have that type of moment more often or for other seasons. For spring, why don't they do light blue for the sky? And for summer, why don't they do daisy yellow?
Yeah.
Because that'd be kind of fun.
It would be fun. Even I don't know if you've seen this recently, but Sanzo does a lot of collabs with movies that come out of the Marvel Studios or Disney Studios.
Really? I didn't know that. The Sanzo's the Asian drinks, right?
Yeah. They'll put there's a, if there's a movie coming out, I don't know how politically incorrect this is, but if there's an Asian movie coming out or with Asian characters, they'll put
Crazy Rich Asians too.
Yeah. They'll put it on the can and then they'll launch it and it'll do really well.
Yeah. That makes more sense to me. That's sort of a historical thing that's always happened. Pepsi would be hey, we're launching Space Jam,
Sure.
And Coca-Cola would always have the polar bears for Christmas. They would also have those seasonal moments.
Yeah.
But I cannot believe that
It's crazy that it drove the most sales though.
Yeah, especially versus like pumpkin spice latte, which you'd think is like, people have been waiting all year for it.
It's a white girl staple.
Yeah, yeah. And like, all of a sudden it goes from white to red, and that's what does it. Like people are like, I really want a red cup in my hand.
Yeah.
I thought at least the flavor would do it, not the design, but I guess this is an aesthetic.
Let's be real. Starbucks has no flavor.
Yeah. That's crazy, especially. That is bananas. I saw something that said like they sell more cold beverages than hot beverages, which is crazy. There was also this old story I heard where I'm not sure if this is true or if I'm remembering it incorrectly, but the Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz was having this board meeting, and on the board was the CEO and founder of Costco. And so he's like, Howard Schultz is like, hey guys, guess what? Fantastic news. Coffee prices are down. Our prices are the same in stores. We're making more money. This is fantastic. And so at the end of the board meeting, the Costco CEO goes up to him and says, this is awesome. The coffee prices are down. We're making more money. This is good news. And he's like, when are Costco customers going to get the lower prices from Starbucks? Because, your costs are down. We want to pass along some savings to our customers. And Starbucks is like, we're not planning on passing along we're not reducing costs at all. We're not passing along our price savings. And the Costco CEO he's like, I completely understand. You want to maintain your margins. And Howard's like, yeah, that's right. We want to maintain margins. And the CEO of Costco's like, I have good news and bad news. Good news, your margins are really strong. Bad news, Costco's no longer carrying any Starbucks.
Wow.
And so Starbucks is like, okay, we changed our mind.
Yeah.
And there's another P&G story as well, which I'm not sure if I should tell or not, but like the P&G also had an issue where Costco was like, hey, we're going to use our leverage so that you give us better prices and better items inside Costco. Otherwise, we're going to kick other products out. And P&G was like, okay, we're going to do that. We agree to that. First they were like, no. And then Costco was like, we're going to kick this out. And P&G's like, okay, we're going to do it.
Damn.
Like they've got a lot of buying power.
Yeah. I mean, Costco is just always full.
Yeah.
I've never been into Costco and it's not full.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like in such a pleasant experience too.
It's the most fun thing to do.
Yeah, you don't feel like I also heard that in Costco they move the stuff around once in a while. Like they move around
so you
products.
have to go through.
So
all
you
the
have
aisles.
to shop aisles. Yeah,
yeah.
It is so fun. I don't even know why it's so fun because it's not like.
Well, you get the samples.
Well, the samples are fantastic. My mom will go and grab like the entire tray. And she's like, "This is for my nephews. Or like this is for my cousins. They're on the other side of the store." Meanwhile, she's walking around with basically a bag of pretzels in little cups.
I've always wanted to go into Costco with like a tray, like a cafeteria tray, and then go in with 3 people and everybody just puts stuff on the tray. And by the time you get out, you've got a whole meal. You've got lunch.
There was like, there were a couple of brands that I know of that have like sampled at Costco and they're like, look, sampling at Costco is really worthwhile. The thing is that the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to just have their normal sample like representatives provide the samples because they're sort of like,
asleep.
That's right. Yeah. Are you watching The Last of Us?
Yeah. No.
Okay. The Last of Us is this like zombie show on HBO, which is fantastic. You should watch it.
Yeah.
But it's basically like zombies. They're like, here you go. And like, asleep is even better word, I think. But they're like, hire your own representative. Like it costs a lot more money to get your own guy, but he's going to go over there and be like, you got to try X Tribe water. It is fantastic. This is the water you need.
Yeah. Almost like, I think they call that the road shows where you go in, like Vitamix does that a lot, where you go in, you basically get like a table area versus just the dinky little cart.
Yeah.
And you get to like basically demonstrate the entire thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay. The blender, right? That's what you're talking about? Yeah.
The interesting thing I think is true is that when you open up product, to let's say you're doing a Vitamix, right? You're opening up or actually let's do a different example. Let's say you're making like pizza. Some people have like this pizza naan bread that they sell and they'll do this at the roadshow. Every time they open a bag, they have to pay Costco half of the value of the product.
Really?
And they can't bring their own product in.
Yeah,
they have to just buy it from Costco, open it, serve it, and then hope that the sales by the end of the day make up for it.
I bet at Costco's amazing. I feel like they do because otherwise people would get out of the sampling game in Costco and everyone's like, I'm in the sampling game in Costco.
Yeah. Okay, so we know retention is the yin to the yang of acquisition. And we know about email, we know about SMS, we know about all these other channels. But one thing I think we don't talk about a lot is push notifications and mobile apps. And this is where Tapcart comes in. If you saw the Shopify Editions update that just came out, they talked a ton about their app, Shop, which is doing a ton for merchants. They're seeing higher AOVs, they're seeing higher conversion rates. And we've actually seen the same with our clients who use a Tapcart app. The beauty is you can't even tell it's built by Tapcart, but Tapcart essentially is the CMS. It's the Shopify of the mobile app. They build it in Tapcart, they get it live, and they can start sending traffic either through their email list. On their site, there's a little pop-up that says, open the app versus looking at it on the site. And it's been pretty amazing to see how special customers feel in their mobile app. They get push notifications, they get customized notifications based on when they last bought. If I bought native deodorant and I'm, 40 days out, I'll get a push notification that says, hey, you're probably running out. Click here, get a discount or whatever. Click here to buy real quick. I think it's something that our limited supply listeners should check out. And they can actually get 2 months free at tapcart.com/limited. So check it out, build an app, send it to us. We'll review it, DM it to me or Moiz, and we'll see you on the other side.
Okay, let's move on. There's one other, let's switch gears. So I appreciate that Starbucks context. That was crazy. 31 million people active in 3 months, $3.3 billion loaded on gift cards. Ugh, that's crazy. There's one, actually, I have one tangential story now, which is crazy. There's this U.S. there's a budget crisis in the United States, okay, where we basically need to, there's a limit that the Congress has set on how much debt the United States can have. And every couple of years, the Congress gets together and lifts it, but it's always kind of a
That's
little
when
bit
they
of a
say,
fight.
oh, the government's shutting down.
Exactly,
and then
yeah.
they just move it.
So right now, they're like, we're not sure how to deal with this because it looks like we're going to have another fight. And I'm not sure why this is possible, but they're like, one of the solutions is we can just mint more money and then deposit it in our own federal bank account. And that will, that gets around the budget crisis, just making more money, printing it, because we own, the U.S. government owns the printing press for money. They're going to print more money and then deposit it in the bank. And they're like,
it's like when
now
I
we have
steal
more money
from the little cardboard box in Monopoly.
Yeah,
just put it on my board.
That's
side.
right. And so one of the things that they're thinking about doing is minting a $1 trillion coin. The Federal Reserve would mint a $1 trillion coin and then go and deposit it in the U.S. government bank account, or maybe the U.S. Treasury would.
This
mint
is
it. I don't know.
breaking my brain. I don't even know how this works.
So they're like, one of the ways to get around the law of the budget, of us running out of money and having more debt, is just making $1 trillion.
There's no
coin
checks and balances to that.
I have no idea why there are not, but in the New York Times, in multiple articles, they're like, one of the solutions that I think the Treasury Department is looking at is minting a $1 trillion coin.
Wow.
Which there was actually a joke of, I think, in The Simpsons, where Mr. Burns had $1 trillion note and was flying to Cuba. And Fidel Castro was like, let me take a look at it. And so he's like, okay, here it is. And Mr. Burns is like, can I have it back now? He's like, have what back? And that's how Fidel Castro made $1 trillion. Okay,
funny.
Let's move on. Aritzia, tell me about it, because you're the second person who's mentioned this to me. And I don't know what it is.
All right. So a few months ago, around Black Friday, I was in Austin shopping around with my mom. And we walked into Aritzia. And as far as I had known, Aritzia was a very chic, trendy, fashionable white girl brand.
Ooh.
Then my mom bought some
Let's
clothes.
Let's go there right now.
Yeah. Then she bought some clothes and she loved it. Then this past weekend, I was in SF and we also went to Aritzia again. And dude, the vibe inside Aritzia, I could live there.
Really?
There is it is just the most beautifully designed space. There's plants everywhere.
They own the Super Puff, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So I'll get into it.
Yeah.
So they've got a ton of stores now, but let me give you some bullet points on Aritzia. So it was founded in Canada by a dude in 1984. And basically it was founded by a guy who decided all right, there needs to be a brand for trendy white girls who are rich that want to go to the mall and need high quality basics. And that's how he came up with Aritzia. And so that was in 1984. And
1984?
Yeah,
wow.
It's that old. So in the early 2000s, they were operating about 15 stores in Canada. And then they raised a bunch of money. It's undisclosed, I think. They raised a bunch of money from Berkshire Partners, which also invested in Party Round. Or sorry, not Party Round. Party City. That was the only brand I saw that was a meaningful connection. So they raised for 63% of the company. And that's really when they started to hit the gas. So in 2007, they opened their first U.S. stores, one in Santa Clara and one in Seattle. In 2011, they opened the flagship store for Aritzia in Soho, which is on Broadway. Beautiful store.
That's the Super Puff one? No.
It's actually right next to it.
Okay.
And then in 2012, they launched e-commerce. So they launched e-commerce in 2012. They've been growing about 19% year over year. And, the CAGR is 19%.
Yeah.
And basically, this guy stepped down as CEO. He's still the largest shareholder, which is interesting. He has 19% of the equity, but he has 70% of the voting rights, which I thought was a great deal on his part. They do a ton of stuff to basically stay like in the I would say the culture of fashion. Like I think with a lot of fashion brands, it's either like it hits or it doesn't. It's very rare that a fashion brand's kind of in the middle. It either does really well and it has a lifespan to it, kind of like you could say an athlete does, and then it's just gone, or it just never hits and you'll always struggle trying to make it hit.
Agreed, yeah.
So in 2020, they had, by the way, they consider themselves like underneath luxury, underneath sub-luxury. They're right around this thing they call everyday luxury. So we worked with a client who in a very similar space, I would say competitive to Aritzia. And so going to the store this weekend and just seeing, like not only seeing the product assortment and the store, but also just how excited people are when they're in the store, it got me really curious about how big this thing is. Because I feel like just in the last 2-3 years, I've really heard about Aritzia taking off. So they got a ton of hype on TikTok for a pair of pants called the Melina pant, which I'll show it to you. You'll definitely recognize it. It's like the leather looking pants that pretty much every girl in New York and LA wears at this point. And that was their pant. It's made of vegan leather. And on TikTok, it pretty much caught fire and went viral. So today, their hashtag Aritzia has over 1 billion videos, which is insane.
Wow. 1 billion videos. That's crazy.
From shopping hauls to styling hacks. All right, so let's get into revenue. So in 2022, they did $1.1 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
And this is all US dollars, not Canadian dollars. They did $1.1 billion US dollars, which is up 74% from the year prior.
Holy shit.
Which is fucking crazy. So out of the 1.1 billion, what percent do you think is e-commerce?
30%.
Pretty close. About half, like 40%.
Okay.
So 418 million was e-commerce. Close to 700 million was retail. So e-commerce, steady growing, but retail, they've been growing about 8 to 12 stores a year, I think. They're out about 106 total. Their retail stores grew 116% last year. Out of that, the gross profit, $485 million.
$485 million on gross profit. Okay, yeah, gross profit makes sense.
They have about 6,500 employees. Now, one interesting thing, which I don't understand why, maybe, I don't know, is their e-commerce is built on Salesforce, which I feel like is probably holding them back now.
Yeah. Like usually when a company gets to be this size, they're rarely, I don't know why, but they're rarely on Shopify. Like,
it's almost like Salesforce caught them early because Salesforce got them, I think, in 2013.
What? Yeah.
But anyways, some other interesting facts. So they're not just Aritzia. So Aritzia is like their store and they have obviously Aritzia clothes, but they have 7 brands underneath Aritzia, 8 brands underneath Aritzia, I think. In addition, nope, I'm wrong. So they have Super World, which is the one that we talked about. That's
the puffer jacket, right?
Yeah, they have one called Sunday Best. They have TNA. They have Babaton and Wilfred. So they've got basically their own set of different brands, basically focused on different looks, different outfit types, different fashion types, all sold within the store, which I think is interesting. It basically turns one retail store into a mini mall, depending on what you're going there for. They also have
they have in one store they showcase all of the brands,
all their own brands,
all their own. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Then they do this thing where like they are really good at seeding product. They have one of the biggest, from what I know, they have one of the biggest budgets in this industry to send product out to celebrities, influencers, and content creators. And it doesn't mean, so like basically what they do is they go really high and really low. So they'll pay millions of dollars to get Emma Chamberlain to do a big campaign, or they'll figure out through some way or another how to get Ariana Grande or Kendall Jenner wearing their products and to get photographed. And there's like a whole world of like, all right, send them the product, get some paparazzi planted there, get them walking out of the thing, snap that, send that to the tabloids. That's like the game.
Yeah.
And then they go really low and they'll go find tons of creators on TikTok or Instagram who are just good at creating content and send them product on an ongoing basis, which is insane.
Yeah,
so they don't really do much in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, let's go get people who inspire others. And then let's get people to show others that, hey, this is like a brand for the everyday girly.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing that I noticed in their stores, so they offer like really high touch service in the store. So if you're walking around, they'll just basically come up to you and then stick around you the whole store. When you tell somebody your name, the rest of the store knows your name. And when you walk around, like if you go to the cashier, or if you go to the fitting room, they know exactly who you are and what items you had put on hold. They even don't they don't let you carry things around in the store. If they see you carrying something, they'll come grab that, put it away in the fitting room, and then you just keep giving them stuff to go try on, which basically increases the units per transaction.
Sure.
They also do something where like their dressing rooms don't have mirrors. So it requires you to come outside. Now in the dressing room area, they have couches and little seats. So it's made for like basically boyfriends and guys to come sit so that their girlfriend comes out, looks at their, 20-foot tall mirror against the wall. And basically like it creates this like different interaction between you, your boyfriend, the store associates who just tell you everything looks good.
And there are people who are actually trying stuff on, which are like, that looks great on you. Maybe I should try that too.
100%. And I even saw that happen. Somebody was like, oh, that's really cute. Can I get that in my size?
Yeah.
And, they went and got it. The last thing that I thought was really interesting was their return policy is different. So my mom bought 3 things and she said, what was the return policy? Their return policy is basically $10 or 10 days to bring your product back and you get store credit. That's the return policy.
Terrible.
And, but like when I heard it in my head, I was like, that's kind of sus, but sure, sounds good to me.
That's crazy. Okay, so I'd never heard of those pants that you had mentioned.
But you've seen them.
But I love them. So let me love them. Okay, I'm looking at the, I was like pulling up the, financial statements while you're chatting. Let me tell you what's a little bit crazy. In 2021, they did $857 million in revenue and had 101 stores, okay? Mm-hmm. So 100 stores, $857 million in revenue. In 2022, they only added 5 stores. They went from 101 to 106, and the revenue went from 857 to 1.5 billion. What the fuck happened? Like, it's not like, like one of the things that you always look at, like, when Chipotle was growing, you're like, how many stores does it have? How many more locations can it expand to, right? Like today you think of McDonald's and you're like, there's nowhere else to put a McDonald's in the country. It's been 50 years since McDonald's was founded, or 75 years. They're everywhere already. These guys didn't expand stores to grow revenue. They just grew revenue, which is really spectacular.
Yeah, I think, that was also during the pandemic. And I think TikTok had a huge huge role in their growth, as well as, there was almost this like change of what's cool in fashion that probably happened in 2021. And they almost fit right into like the perfect sweet spot, the perfect bullseye of like what fashion was in 2021.
Wow. They also got a new CEO, this woman named Jennifer Wong. I've seen that Super Puff store 1,000 times on the corner of Broadway and Crosby. I've never gone in, and every time I walk by it, I'm like, that's a beautiful store.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal
so good. Like they do such a good job merchandising with like colors and racks and like the puffiness and like gloss or matte. I just didn't know that it was owned by Aritzia. I just thought it was a pop-up store, to be honest, because I was like, how can this Super Puff store remain there year-round? Because, it gets warm, and then who's going to buy a Super Puff in New York City? But it makes sense that they've got 7 other brands that they can say, okay, you know what? It's not cold anymore. Make the Super Puff store smaller and add more vegan leather pants.
Yeah, I wish it had a breakdown. There was a breakdown in their investor deck of how much revenue comes from Super Puff.
Yeah.
I'm a Super Puff customer, very happy Super
you like
Puff
it?
customer. I think it's my favorite jacket.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the one I was wearing at the Whaley's.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like sleeping in a bed. It's like you're in a bed constantly.
You know what? I told the Buffy guys, I was like, you guys need to create a jacket because you guys already have these healthy duvet covers and great duvets that are, amazing and people love. You guys should turn this into a jacket. Like imagine a jacket like Buffy, but instead of one color, like the color that you bought, you could change it like a duvet. You could unzip it and then be like, you know what? I was wearing black yesterday. Cool. Now I want to wear blue. And it's like the same down comforter inside, but now you can change the color all the time.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
This is a great, how did you hear about these? I guess your mom?
Well, I mean, Aritzia as a whole has been a very, it's like, I feel like everybody's talking about Aritzia or wearing it, but I personally have gone into the store over the last probably year and just been, I'm always amazed by, not just the products and not just the environment, but dude, people are so happy when they're in that store. Like they're just so excited to shop.
That's awesome.
And that to me was the interesting part.
That's awesome. I rarely feel that way when I go in. Like every time I walk into a brick and mortar store, I'm like, I'm going to hate myself here.
Yeah. Like going into Best Buy, it's just like, it feels like you're walking into a prison. It's like bright lights just staring at you.
Yeah, that's so true. There's another men's company that I really like called Suit Supply. Have you ever shopped at Suit Supply?
Yeah.
They have the same thing where they don't have mirrors. And in fact, like the mirrors that they have once you walk outside the dressing room are like in the darkest spot possible where you're like, I can't see shit here. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And like everyone's very commission based. Did you get the sense that the employees at Aritzia are commission based or not?
No.
Okay. That's nice.
And I feel like that's probably a part of the secret sauce. Apple does that too, where they don't do commission-based sales on the floor. And Steve Jobs would say it means that people are buying because they want to be, you have to educate them and make it their decision to buy.
Yeah,
versus trying to push
shoving stuff down. Yeah. Why don't you upgrade to a 17-inch? You don't need a 13-inch.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Apple doesn't do that. But and I don't love that at Suit Supply, but it's great that Aritzia doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears. We don't have that much time left. Let's switch gears to two things. I want to talk about Shopify's new features. Would you give us the top 3 Shopify features that launched that Harley talked about during the earnings call a few weeks ago now?
Yeah, so there was probably a handful of ones that I thought were super relevant to us, and I think everybody listening. So the first one is one-page checkout, which is huge. So right now you have to basically put your thing in, you get to a cart, then you hit checkout, and then you put your shipping info in, you get to the next page, you put your, I think then you choose, either you put your payment info or then you choose which shipping.
Checkout. Yeah, one-page checkout. Yeah.
So it's very complicated. I think it's like a 4-page thing. Now it'll be a 1-page checkout, which is huge. I am in the running to get in the beta. And
That's
so
awesome.
I'll keep you updated when we get that, what the difference is.
Yeah, I always thought the multi-page checkout was I didn't they said, hey, we've tested this over billions of transactions and we're sure this is correct. I always thought it was like WooCommerce had a 1-page checkout, and when we switched from Woo to Shopify, our conversion rate went down, and I was like, I bet a lot of this is the checkout page. And it was silly because one of the things they asked for is first they asked for your shipping address, then they're like, is this the same as your billing address? And you click right. And then at the when you're filling out your credit card information, they're like, put in your credit card number, what's the name on the card? I was like, you already asked me my name on the billing information. You don't need to ask, basically, it's you spend so many resources trying to eliminate a single field on checkout where you're like, I don't need this, do I? Let's get rid of this field to improve conversion rates. I couldn't believe that they asked the same question twice.
Yeah. So 1-page checkout, I think, is going to be huge.
Yep, that's massive.
Another one is Shop Promise. So this is a new badge that's going to appear on your store.
Yeah.
And basically what they do, from my understanding, option A is you use SFN, which we'll talk about in a sec.
Yeah.
And they know those numbers. Option B is they basically say, all right, we know the day that somebody bought, we know the date that your order was shipped based on, a tracking API, and we know the date it was delivered. And so based on that, we will decide whether or not to grant you a badge. They claim that it increases conversion rate by 25%. So if you're at a 4% conversion rate, you could expect to go to 5. I feel like that's probably a stretch for just a badge. Moiz is nodding at me with his eyes half open. But yeah, so that's what they claimed. Another one
it's my Peter Griffin, I don't trust that.
My gears.
You know what? When something happens and Peter Griffin goes like this, that's how
yeah.
I feel, right? When they say 25%, that seems high.
Just thought you see that chicken from just flying ready to fight. All right, another cool one is have you played around with Shopify Cash Boosts?
No, I've never heard of that.
This is Shopify's first step, dipping the toe in the water of running ads. So they have a publisher platform, you could call it, which is the Shop app, which initially was just to track packages, and now you can actually shop it.
Yeah.
But they have a currency within it called Shop Cash, which is not their own currency. It's just dollars translated into however they compute it. Yeah. And you can now run campaigns and say, all right, I want to put a $15 CPA, and it'll assign a multiplier to the points that you get in exchange for buying the product. So let's say you come to long weekend and we're running this thing. It'll tell you, hey, you can get 1 times the points it'll say 1 times the points normally. But if I'm running this thing, it might say, oh, get 5 times the points.
Yeah.
And those points are coming from my $15 CPA target I set in Shopify. And it's really cool because it's in the Shopify admin portal. If you have the Shop app installed as a sales channel, you should be able to see it, I think, by now. I've played around with it. It's super easy. You can put 15, you can see what you get. Then you can put it up to 20 and you'll just see an increase. But you can basically demand the price. Right now, there's not a lot of people doing it. So you can pretty much command a low price and it works.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's interesting that Shopify's like, hey, make it so that we're running a promotion inside the Shopify app. I think that's great. I just don't think that there are consumers using the Shop app yet. I think it's so small. When you did it for long weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't huge. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a small boost, but it wasn't
more than 5% or less than 5%?
Probably 10%.
Wow. Okay. That's
long
legitimate.
weekend scale's not that big right now.
Yeah, that's still a lot. Okay, I take it back. That's great.
Another thing that I think is interesting, which is more foreshadowing, is they're creating their own single sign-on. So when you have a subscription, you don't have to go think, what the fuck was my email and password for this? You'll have single sign-on with the Shop app. So the same way you do Shop Pay for checkout, you can use that to now log in. The thing that sucks is it's only for Shopify properties, but this is basically what would have destroyed Fast.
Yeah, that would. Oh, Fast didn't need to be destroyed.
It did it on its own.
It turned out, that the guy running Fast, it was the only thing that needed to be used to destroy Fast. Wait, so what if I'm Retection or Recharge?
Yeah.
Am I able to log into my subscription through the Shopify checkout?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you can log into your own account that way.
Gotcha. Okay, that's awesome.
The last 2 things are more just mini wins, but everybody's going to appreciate it. One is bundling is becoming native.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
You can say, I want the Christmas bundle, and underneath it, there's sub products that exist. So it's not now, it's not just adding multiple variants to a permalink. You can actually have real bundles in Shopify.
Yeah.
The second one is using multiple discounts at the same time, or automatic discounts and using a code on top.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, you know how Nike runs 30% off, and then you can add another coupon code. You can't do that right now with Shopify. So I'm pretty pumped for that. I think generally there was a lot of really good updates. I'm most excited for the one-page checkout. I think that will be a huge game changer. They added some stuff around AI writing, which I don't think maybe people, a sub $5 million brand might use, but you can't really use that much.
Yeah. AI is just hot. So they're like, hey, let's see if this little booster
probably
stock
a
price
little API to just add in.
Stripe is also trying to launch a one-click checkout sort of thing. I think it's called Link or Links or something.
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah, it's
Italic
out.
Uses it. I find it really useful.
I don't when I think Stripe should be the backbone of this and not Shopify, basically, because I want to use the same thing to check out
everywhere
on Uber as I do on Instacart, as I do on any Shopify brand. as I do on ClassPass.
Right.
And the person to power this should be Stripe because they're the guys who are powering the transactions behind every one of those sites.
Yeah.
I think it's a genius move on Stripe's part because it sort of provides them a real moat. Like right now, you might be willing to switch from Shopify to Braintree or anybody else because you're like, this guy's offering me 0.01% cheaper rate. If Stripe is like, look, we're improving your conversion rate because we've removed all of the credit card fields on checkout because guess what? Bloomingdale's, if you've ever shopped on Bloomingdale's or, ClassPass or Barry's or any other website basically on the internet, you're good to go and you can check out here without having to fill out all of that information. That's a huge game changer. And I think that's a great move on Stripe's part, and I'm excited about that. But I'm also super excited about one-page checkout. I saw Harley talk about that, and I was like, "This is amazing." It's about time. Yeah. They talked a little bit about Shopify Fulfillment Network as well, and how they're like throwing more resources into it. And I think of like Shopify Fulfillment Network the same way I think of the metaverse for Facebook, which is I'm like maybe one day this will be a competitive edge and I don't understand it yet, but I think that day is so far from now. And Shopify Fulfillment Network has been around for quite some time. I'm sure, I bet 50% of brands use Shop Pay and, or maybe even more than 50% of brands use Shop Pay. I bet a lot of brands are using Shop Pay and a bunch of Shopify native features. Under 5% of Shopify brands are on Shopify Fulfillment Network. Maybe,
for sure.
Maybe under 1%.
Yeah.
And so they're throwing a lot of resources against this. There was this Wall Street Journal article I read, and the guy who's running Shopify Logistics, he says, the challenges for small retailers in competing for sales are almost always logistics and fulfillment. He says, if we can level the playing field and give any merchant in the world before they have had their first sale all the benefits of a larger retailer, we think that's just giving pure magic to merchants. And I agree that that's pure magic. If I've never made a sale and you've made my life really easy to make a sale, that's great. But the problem I'm always having is making sales once I've made some sales. Once I've figured out a 3PL in logistics, I'm not like, oh my God, this is always a hair on fire problem. But every morning I'm not like, hey, what's my 3PL doing? But every morning I'm like, how are my Facebook ads doing? Right. And so I think that they're throwing a lot of resources against this, hoping that it's a moat. But I think it's a really tough moat. There was, do you follow the guy from Simple Modern? You know what Simple Modern is? Yeah, of course. On Twitter. I think he recently, it was him or somebody else. I think it was him. He posted this thing on Twitter where he's like, I toured an Amazon fulfillment facility. Mm-hmm. And did you see that thing? Yeah. And he's like, basically there's robots moving around all the time. You barely, as a fulfillment packer, you barely move. And the inventory, when a company brings in inventory, it's distributed across the warehouse in a ton of different robots. It's not like all of the native deodorant is in one location. It's actually all over the place. The genius is that it's all over the place. So no one has to move and these robots don't have to go far to get to you. Right. That is a result of $100 billion in investment in infrastructure to create fulfillment as a competitive moat. I think, I'm not sure if, and that is a genuine moat. I'm not sure if Shopify Fulfillment Network is that's what we want to get to, or they're competing with the Ship Heroes and Shipmonks and Fulfillcos of the world. And if they're competing with the Shipmonks and Ship Heroes and Fulfillcos of the world, I'm not sure they've got a moat right now. And I don't know what that moat looks like. Yeah, I think, I thought the same thing. I feel like they probably, the announcements around one-page checkout, and they even did something around pixeling, like making it easier to install pixels from the App Store, from the Shopify App Store. I feel like they could have done a little bit more around how do you create more demand for your brand or for your store as a merchant? I do know, I remember when we talked to Harley, he talked about we build for the 90% of the stores. We don't build for native or things like that. I remember that. So, but I also still don't know, what percent of those, let's say mom and pops or sub $1 million brands need a fulfillment center versus they're just, every time I go on TikTok and there's TikTok live, where people are packing orders. I don't know if you've seen that, but they're always just doing it themselves. Yeah. They're not using a fulfillment center. Yeah. And especially if you make the product yourself, if you're a really small brand and you're making your own product, you probably are fulfilling it yourself too, If you're an Etsy brand, you're not what I need is a 3PL partner. You're I'm making my stuff. I'm a $40,000 a month store. I might be shipping my stuff too. Right. Okay, let me switch gears and talk about one last thing before we wrap up. I know we've got to go. Facebook earnings came out several weeks ago. We did the podcast at the Whaleys, then we did one with Mary, and I think this is the first one we're getting to after this. So there was just some quick stuff that I wanted to discuss. They said on this podcast, this will take less than 2 minutes. 3 billion people use Facebook products on a daily basis. 4 billion people use Facebook products on a monthly basis. That's 50% of humanity. 25% of the world is under the age of 14 or under the age of 15. I was like looking at this and I was like, where is it? So like there's 8 billion people in the world. 2 billion are under the age of 15. 4 billion people are using Facebook on a monthly basis. That's absolutely insane. A US user for Facebook is worth $50 per year. A European user is worth $17. Asia Pacific is worth $4, which I thought was pretty crazy. In the fourth quarter of 2022, average price per ad decreased year over year compared to 2021 by 22%, which I thought was also kind of crazy. But they showed more ads. Ad impressions delivered across our family of apps increased by 23% year over year. Anyway, those were the things that that stood out to me. I looked this up a couple weeks ago, so now I'm refreshing myself as I'm reading through these things. But those are the things that stood out to me, and I just wanted to bring those up. Like half of humanity is using Facebook on a monthly basis. Virtually half of it is using it on a daily basis. One of the apps across Facebook's family of apps. U.S. user $50, Asia Pacific $4.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to dinner with Ryan after this.
Yeah.
The CEO of Jolie and the CEO of Facebook Ads Don't Work. And I can't wait to tell him this.
He's the CEO of a company called Facebook Ads Don't Work?
No.
Okay.
That's his mantra.
That's his mantra, really? Facebook Ads Don't Work?
Yeah, but I think now he's come to the other side.
Yeah. I'm the guy who wrote the Bible. I'm preaching. I'm like the priest actually of Facebook ads, where I'm like, these work. Come over here. Here's, I'm giving you communion for Facebook ads.
Yeah. What's a funny thought I had just now is, who does the best field marketing in the world?
Who?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude, every sign, every pole in LA has a quote from the Bible.
Really?
With a reference back to like where in the Bible it is.
Wow.
Who runs this guy's marketing department?
I mean, a billion people who, aren't motivated financially. They're even more passionate than that. And I've got all the respect in the world for that kind of stuff.
What do they want to sell? Let's make it.
A long time ago, they were selling indulgences. Now they're selling, being saved. And I'm not a religious person, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? I need something beyond Facebook ads to believe in. Okay, that's a wrap. You're in LA for Grow LA.
Here for Grow. I'll take some notes. Bring some cool things to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Excited about it. Okay, that's a wrap for episode 7. Looking forward to let's talk about Grow LA in episode 8.
Perfect. All right. See you next episode.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on.